My name is Iris Calder. I'm 29, and I'm sitting on the edge of my own bed in an apartment my ex-boyfriend just tried to steal from me. My hands still smell like dish soap from the kitchen I scrubbed this morning. The same kitchen where, an hour ago, he declared I should crash with my parents while he kept the keys. He said it like he was offering me a favor. I said, "Interesting plan." Then I closed the bedroom door and called my uncle. Let me start at the beginning, before the papers on the coffee table and the weird smile. Miles and I were together 2.5 years, living together for the last 14 months in a 2-bedroom downtown with tall windows that make sunsets look more expensive than they are. When we moved in, he was between jobs, still figuring out his next move, and I was salaried, steady, practical. I paid the entire $3,200 deposit, plus first and last month's rent. The lease went in my name only, not because I wanted control, but because the property manager ran his credit and winced. "Not this year," she said. "Maybe after 6 months of clean history." 6 months turned into 14. I remember telling myself it would even out over time. Couples help each other. Love isn't a ledger. I can still hear my mother's voice on the phone. Be generous, but not blind. I gave an airy laugh at the time, like wisdom didn't apply to me. Mothers are annoying that way, usually right. Fast forward to Tuesday. I came home from work with a paper bag of groceries and saw Miles and Nate, his best friends since college, sitting at the coffee table like they were hosting a seminar. Loose papers everywhere. The room smelled like our eucalyptus candle and something sour behind it. Rehearsal. Miles looked up wearing that soft, practiced smile people use when they're about to do something unkind and want to look kind doing it. "We need to talk," he said. I set the bag on the counter carefully, one egg at a time. "Okay." He launched into a speech that had clearly been drafted in some group chat. We'd grown apart. He needed to find himself. He'd been carrying a lot emotionally. "Fine. People outgrow each other. Breakups are ugly, but also ordinary." I nodded, quiet, while Nate studied a stapled packet like he was the bailiff. Then Miles dropped the part he wanted to land like a verdict. "So," he said, "I'm keeping the apartment. You can stay with your parents for a while. I already talked to them. Your mom said it's fine." It took a second for the words to make sense, like subtitles out of sync with the picture. I laughed, not happy, not surprised, more a small bark of disbelief. "You're keeping the apartment I've been paying for?" He widened his eyes, wounded saint. "I've been living here too, Iris. I need stability right now. You have family nearby. I don't." Nate's mouth twitched in an almost smile, like he'd been waiting to see if I'd perform the part they'd scripted for me. Hysterical, dramatic, begging. It's always easier to justify theft when the person you're stealing from loses their temper. I didn't. I set the last egg in the fridge, closed the door gently, and turned around. "Interesting plan," I said. "Let me think about it." I took my phone and went into the bedroom, shut the door, sat on the edge of the bed where I'm sitting now, and pressed Frank Calder in my contacts. "Kiddo?" Uncle Frank's voice came through with that mix of salt and brick dust I associate with every move he's made in this city. He owns several buildings, the kind you pass without noticing until your friend says, "I live there," and you realize he quietly keeps half the block running. "Hey," I said, finding my breath. "Hypothetical for you." Not with that tone. "Miles broke up with me," I said. "He's keeping the apartment. He already called Mom to tell me I could crash with them." Uncle Frank was quiet for a long beat. Then he actually laughed. "He thinks that's how rentals work? He thinks he can keep what he doesn't own?" "The lease is in my name only," I said, though we both knew he knew. "You never added him. His credit was bad." "Right," he said. "He's been your guest for 14 months. If you want him out, I can have notice drafted and served. Today." I rubbed the heel of my palm against my sternum, where the old habit of swallowing my hurt lives. "Give me 24 hours. I'll try to handle it myself." "If he gives you any trouble," Uncle Frank let the sentence dangle like a warning sign on a slick floor. "I'll call," I said. When I stepped into the living room again, I could feel the house leaning, listening. Miles was still on the couch, Nate scrolling, like none of this was about me walking out of a grocery store and into a power play. "So," I said, "about yesterday." "Oh, good," Miles said brightly, not even looking at me. "You've had time to process. When do you think you can be out?" I was thinking by the weekend. You can tell a lot about someone by how easily they make plans for your life. I watched him for a second, the curve of arrogance disguised as concern. Miles, you understand I'm on the lease, right? Only me. He waved a hand. We can work that out with the landlord. I'm sure they'll be reasonable. The landlord is my uncle, I said. He froze, spatula in the air frozen, even though we weren't in the kitchen anymore. Your what? My uncle owns the building, I said. I'm the only one on the lease. You've been living here as my guest. I watched his face go through 5 expressions in 3 seconds. Confusion, offense, calculation, anger, denial. He landed on righteous. That's not fair. I've been living here. I've made this my home. You've paid exactly 0 toward rent or deposit, I said evenly. He blinked hard. I buy groceries. Once a month, with the emergency card I gave you. I decorated, he said, a little wild now. You hung up 3 home goods prints with my credit card, I said. His eyes filled with angry tears. You're being financially abusive. This is manipulation. There it was, the word people reach for when consequences arrive. I felt something in me stop apologizing. I'm done trying to be nice, I said softly. He flinched, because maybe he heard the first real boundary I'd set since we started dating. I stepped back into the bedroom and texted Uncle Frank. Go ahead with the notice. The phone buzzed almost immediately. Paperwork in motion. 24 hours. You okay? I will be, I wrote. Through the wall, I could hear Miles calling someone. Patricia, probably. His mother, who never could remember my name at holidays and called me Han, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. He said things like tenant rights and common law and she can't do this, while Nate murmured encouragement like a hype man for a delusion. I sat on the bed, elbows on my knees, and watched my breath slow down. The window threw late light in a long rectangular strip across the floor. It landed on a scuff near the dresser where Miles dropped a dumbbell once when he promised he'd start lifting again. The mark had never bothered me before. Now I was grateful for it. Proof of weight, proof of impact, proof of a thing that hit the floor and didn't break me. My phone rang one more time. Mom. Iris, she said without preamble. Miles called to tell me you're moving in. I told him he doesn't get to make announcements about your life. I smiled, sudden and real. Thank you. You okay? She asked. I will be, I said again, and this time it was truer. Iris, she said softer. Be generous, but not blind. I'm finally learning, I said. After we hung up, I stood, walked to the doorway, and looked at my living room. The books I chose, the couch I paid for, the rug I bought on sale because I liked how it felt under my feet in the morning. This home wasn't a prize. It wasn't a trophy to be awarded to the most convincing speech. It was mine. And if Miles needed a lesson in how leases work, Uncle Frank would teach it in ink. Behind me, my phone buzzed with a calendar alert from a life that had believed in weekends that went as planned. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., a process server would knock. I set the alert to on. Interesting plan, I whispered to the empty room this time, and let the words mean something else. The next afternoon, the knock came exactly at 2. I wasn't home to see it, but my neighbor Derek, who works remotely and has made a hobby of knowing everyone's business, texted within minutes. Derek, you missed quite a show. Blonde guy in sweatpants just screamed, I have rights in the hallway. Your ex okay? Me, he's learning about leases. He sent back a laughing emoji and then, a moment later, Derek, he's crying now, loud. I set my phone down, exhaled slowly, and looked around the office. It was surreal doing payroll while my personal life was turning into a courtroom drama 3 floors below. Uncle Frank texted right after. Frank, notice served, official, he's got 24 hours. I didn't respond. I just sat there for a minute, staring at my computer screen, the cursor blinking on a spreadsheet, thinking about how endings never sound like you expect. They don't come with thunder, just paper, signatures, and silence. When I got home that evening, the apartment smelled like burnt toast and defeat. Miles was pacing the living room, phone in hand, voice shaking between anger and panic. You actually called your uncle? He demanded the moment I opened the door. Yes, I said, dropping my keys into the bowl by the counter. This is illegal, he said, holding up a crumpled printout of something that looked like it had been downloaded from the internet at 3 a.m. I've been living here for over a year. I'm a tenant. You can't just throw me out. I glanced at the title, Know Your Rights, Tenant Protections by State. Except it was for Oregon. We live in Illinois. Miles, I said carefully, you're not a tenant. You're a guest. You don't pay rent. You're not on the lease. He jabbed a finger at the paper. I get mail here. That counts. You get mail here because you used my address without asking. That's not the same thing. His expression twisted. You're so cold. You're acting like some kind of landlord robot. I'm acting like someone who's tired of being taken advantage of. He laughed sharply. Oh, please. You think you're better than me because your family has money. My uncle has property, I corrected. I have boundaries. That's when he tried tears. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. Iris, you're ruining my life. I have nowhere to go. Can't we just be adults and figure something out? You told me to crash with my parents, I reminded him. That was before I realized how cruel you could be. Cruel. The word echoed for a moment, almost funny in its hypocrisy. I'm not cruel, Miles, I said softly. I'm consistent. He turned away, muttering under his breath, and slammed the bedroom door. At 2:15, my phone started vibrating again. Miles, what did you do? Miles, 24 hours? Are you insane? Miles, you can't evict me. I'll call a lawyer. Then Nate, the ever-loyal sidekick. You seriously evicted him? What kind of person does that? He thought you loved him. And, cherry on top, a call from Patricia, his mother. Iris, she said, pronouncing my name wrong as always. What's this about you throwing Miles out? I think he's already told you his version, I said. Would you like the truth? A pause. Go on. I explained everything. How I paid the entire deposit, the rent, the bills. How Miles wasn't on the lease. How he'd decided unilaterally to keep the apartment I funded. Patricia was silent for a moment, then sighed. He said you agreed to it together. No, I said. He decided and then informed me. Another sigh. That does sound like something he'd do. My hand tightened on the phone. He's done this before, hasn't he? Well, she hesitated. In college, he convinced his roommate to move out during finals week, then change the locks. I thought he'd grown up since then. He hasn't, I said. I'll talk to him, she said finally, voice weary. I'm sorry, Iris. The apology surprised me. Not because she owed me one, but because it was the first honest thing I'd ever heard from that family. By the next morning, Miles had gone from furious to performative. His Instagram story was a carousel of tenant rights infographics and motivational quotes. No one can take your home if you stand your ground. Justice is on my side. Every single one had the wrong legal jurisdiction. At 7 a.m., he confronted me again, brandishing a new stack of printed pages. These are from actual lawyers, he said, like the paper itself gave him authority. From California, I pointed out. It's still America. Miles, please, I said, stop embarrassing yourself. He crossed his arms. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, I said. They'll tell you the same thing Uncle Frank and the notice already did. He did. They arrived 2 hours later. 2 officers, one older and visibly tired, the other young enough to still believe people tell the truth. Miles ran to the door like a reality show contestant. Officers, she's trying to illegally evict me. I live here. The older cop sighed. Ma'am, he said to me, are you on the lease? Yes. He turned to Miles. Are you? Miles hesitated. Not technically, but... Have you been paying rent? I've been contributing in other ways. The officer raised an eyebrow. Financially? No, but I... Has the legal tenant asked you to leave? Miles's face crumpled. This isn't fair. The younger cop took the paper from my hand, scanned it quickly, and nodded. Properly served, signed by a licensed attorney. She's within her rights. But where will I go? Miles said, voice cracking on cue. That's not her problem, sir, the older cop said. If you're not out by 2 p.m., we'll be back. The door closed softly behind them. For a moment, the apartment was silent, except for the faint hum of the fridge. Then Miles sat down on the couch, head in hands. I can't believe you did this to me, he said. I can, I replied. After the police left, his confidence collapsed. The threats faded into bargaining. Please, Iris, we can work something out. I'll start paying rent. We can split it. You had 14 months to offer that, I said. I was emotional when I said those things. How did you mean them then? He had no answer. By noon, he was pacing, calling everyone he knew. I heard him on the phone with Nate first. What do you mean you don't have a spare room? Come on, dude, just for a week. Then Patricia. Mom, please, don't start with that. I know what you said about Florida, but this is different. Then someone else. Rita, hey, it's your favorite cousin. Yeah, I just need a place for a few nights. Each call ended faster than the last. By 12:30, the desperation in his voice had curdled into blame. If you kick me out, I'll post everything online, he said suddenly. Everyone will know what kind of person you are. I looked up from my laptop. Make sure you include the part where you tried to take my apartment. He stared at me, then actually opened his phone, thumbs flying. About to be homeless because my ex is evil. 2 years together meant nothing. Add context, I suggested, like how you called my parents to tell them I could move out of a place I pay for. His fingers hovered, then he deleted the post. At 2 p.m., Uncle Frank arrived with 2 movers in Navy uniforms and the efficiency of people who have seen too many similar scenes. I want this done professionally, Frank said. No shouting, no damage. We're getting him out clean. Miles was sitting on the couch, texting furiously. This is harassment, he muttered, as the movers boxed his things, clothes, electronics, the gaming chair I bought him last Christmas. Where should we take it? One mover asked. Miles blinked. I don't know. Can't you leave it here until I figure it out? No, Frank said, voice like iron. You have 10 minutes to decide or it goes into storage. Miles called Patricia again. I could hear her voice, sharp and tired through the phone. I told you this would happen, Miles. Your dad and I are in Florida. Call your cousin Rita. Rita apparently agreed, reluctantly. 3 nights only, she said. As the last box was loaded, Miles looked at me one more time. You're really doing this? Throwing me out like trash? I'm not throwing you out, I said. I'm enforcing the same boundary you tried to set. You just assumed you'd be the one keeping what's mine. He laughed bitterly. You'll regret this. I'll miss who I thought you were, I said. Not who you actually are. He left, slamming the door behind him hard enough to rattle the picture frames. The sound echoed for a long time before fading into something softer, relief. The apartment finally felt like mine again. It's strange how silence sounds different after chaos. That night, the apartment felt like an empty theater after the audience has gone home. There were faint outlines where his things had been, a chair, a shoe rack, a ghost imprint on the carpet. I sat on the couch with a mug of tea and realized how small my breathing had become over the past year, like I'd been rationing oxygen. The quiet was oxygen. But peace, I learned, never lasts uninterrupted. By morning, the phone started again. Nate. He's staying with his cousin in some dump because of you. Hope you're proud. Unknown. You ruined his life. He's devastated. Patricia. Miles said you're still holding his stuff hostage. That's theft, Iris. I sighed, replying only to the last one. Everything he owns is in storage. He has the receipt. Tell him to pay the fee and collect it whenever he wants. No response. By noon, Derek knocked. Hey, just a heads up, he said. Your ex came back this morning, tried to get in through the side door, claimed he forgot his key. I frowned. Did he? Security handled it, Derek said. Camera caught everything. He flipped off the door when it wouldn't open. Not exactly a criminal mastermind. I managed a laugh. Thanks for letting me know. He lingered a moment. Hey, I saw him last night, talking to some guy in a hoodie near the mailbox. Said something about making you pay for embarrassing him. Just be careful, okay? Always, I said. But I locked every window before bed that night anyway. 2 days later, Uncle Frank called. Well, that's that, he said. Eviction's finalized, locks are changed. You can breathe now. I already am, I said softly. You handled this better than most people would, he told me. No yelling, no pettiness. That's rare. I didn't have to be petty, I said. Reality did that for me. He chuckled, spoken like a Calder. Keep the spare key in your own name this time. Always, I promised. For 3 blissful days, nothing happened. Then, Friday morning, Rita called. I hate to get involved, but your ex is unbearable, she said without preamble. He's been here 3 days and already demanded my bedroom because the couch hurts his back. He doesn't have a job, doesn't clean up after himself, and just told me you stole from him. I stole from him? I repeated. Apparently your emotional labor. She snorted. I told him to find another therapist. I laughed. Thanks for the warning. Don't thank me yet. He's leaving tonight. Said he's going to stay with his mom's friend until he gets back on his feet. Which, based on the stories Patricia's been posting, means never. That same afternoon, my neighbor Derek sent another message. Derek, you might want to see this. Attached were screenshots of a group chat. The messages were weeks old, but the names were familiar. Miles, Nate, and 2 unknown numbers. Miles, Operation Apartment is almost ready. Unknown. You really think she'll just leave? Miles, she's too nice to fight. I'll cry, play the victim, she'll cave. Unknown. What if she doesn't? Miles, then I'll ruin her reputation. Say she was controlling. Easy. Unknown. Savage. LOL. Miles. She's been paying everything anyway. Might as well get a few more months free rent before I move in with Victor. Unknown. Who's Victor? Miles. Guy with a beach house. Backup plan. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. The whole thing, his need for stability, the breakup, the claim to the apartment, had been planned. I wasn't just a girlfriend he'd outgrown. I was a stepping stone he'd already budgeted out of his future. I sent the screenshots to Uncle Frank, who replied instantly, "Frank, keep them. Evidence if he tries anything else. He's dumber than he looks." Then I forwarded them to Patricia. Her reply came 5 minutes later. "Patricia, I'm calling him now. This is unacceptable." An hour later, the phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. "You ruined everything!" Miles's voice exploded through the speaker. "My mom saw those messages. She's cutting me off. Rita won't talk to me. This is all your fault." I kept my tone calm. "I didn't write the messages, Miles. I just didn't delete them." "I wasn't cheating," he snapped. "Victor's just a friend." "You mean the one with the beach house you were planning to move into after milking me for a few months?" Silence, then a growl. "I'll sue you for emotional distress." "For showing people your own words?" He sputtered, then hung up. 2 days later, Patricia called again. "Iris," she said, her voice heavy, "I wanted to apologize. For him. He's 30 going on 13. His father and I have decided to stop bailing him out." "I appreciate that," I said. "I honestly don't know where he is right now. Probably couch surfing. Apparently Victor ghosted him." "Good. Maybe this will be his wake-up call." "Maybe," I said, though we both knew it wouldn't be. A week later, Derek texted one more time. "Derek, your ex just tried to get into the building again. Told the door guy he left his key. Door camera caught him throwing a tantrum when his fob didn't work. You want the footage?" Me. "No need. Some people only learn when the door finally stays locked." That weekend, I bought a new couch. Smaller, simpler, softer. The old one had too many memories embedded in its fabric, too many arguments folded into the cushions. I rearranged the living room, replaced the eucalyptus candle with fresh lavender, and stood in the middle of the space that now felt entirely mine. Uncle Frank came by to check the locks and brought coffee. He looked around, nodding. "Feels different in here," he said. "Lighter." "It is," I said. "It's amazing what you can breathe out once the weight's gone." He smiled. "Some lessons cost money. Others just cost patience." I laughed quietly. I paid both. That night, I sat on the balcony with my mug, watching the city hum below. My phone buzzed again. Another number I didn't know. "Unknown, I miss you. Please, Iris, can we talk?" I stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed 2 words. "Me, wrong number." Then I blocked it. The night breeze was cool and steady, brushing my hair back as if to say, "That's done now." And it was. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a grand gesture or a perfect clapback. It's the quiet that follows after the storm, the sound of your own peace finally taking up all the space it deserves.